Living with a narcissist can leave unseen long-term impacts on your life. In this video, we're going to explore these hidden scars. This is an essential guide for anyone trying to make sense of their past experiences and seeking a path towards healing and recovery. Let's embark on this journey together. 1. Emotional exhaustion. Did you know that the relentless cycle of living with a narcissist often leads to profound emotional exhaustion? They are like emotional vortexes, demanding constant validation and energy. It's like you're on a never-ending emotional roller coaster, where the drops are sudden and the climbs are unpredictable. Narcissists have this unyielding need for attention, right? And for anyone close to them, it feels like being in a race where the finish line keeps moving further away. Here's the twist. It's not just about their endless demands. It's the unpredictability. One moment, they're all sunshine and rainbows, and in a split second, it's like a storm hit. You're always on edge, waiting for the next storm to brew. And trust me, it's draining. It's not just feeling tired, it's like having a cloud over your head constantly, taking away your joy, energy, and spirit. So, if you've experienced this intense side of dealing with a narcissist, there's a good chance you felt like you're running on empty emotionally. 2. Eroded self-worth. Let's take a moment to recognise what be the most heart-wrenching aftermath of being entwined with a narcissist: the gradual erosion of your self-worth. Narcissists have an uncanny knack for spotlighting themselves, often at the expense of others. It's like you're in a room with a giant spotlight on them, and you're nudged into the shadows, constantly overshadowed by their flamboyance. Here's where it gets tricky. It's not a direct attack on your confidence at first. It starts subtly. A backhanded compliment here, a slight hint of criticism there. Over time, these tiny chips at your self-esteem start to accumulate. You begin doubting your value, questioning your choices, and second-guessing every move. And it's not because you lack worth, it's because your environment has been orchestrated to make you feel like less. You see, narcissists thrive when others feel small. But remember, it's not a reflection of your true worth. It's a twisted tactic, meant to elevate themselves by pushing others down. 3. Pervasive doubt. Another major fallout when dealing with narcissists is the creeping shadow of doubt. Have you noticed how, when constantly surrounded by a narcissist, self-doubt starts seeping in, almost like water through a crack? It's not just the occasional, "Did I do that right?" We're talking about a deep-rooted doubt that slowly gnaws away at your self-worth. Narcissists have this horrible knack for twisting reality. They might dismiss your achievements, minimize your feelings, or even gaslight you into believing their version of events. And over time, you start questioning your own perceptions, memories, and even your sanity. So if you've been feeling like you're trapped in a fog of uncertainty, know that it's a classic symptom of prolonged exposure to narcissistic behavior. 4. Fear of confrontation. Alright, a feeling that many of us might resonate with is the fear of confrontation, but it's especially true when it involves a narcissist. You see, confronting a narcissist isn't like having regular disagreements. It's a whole different ballgame. As discussed, narcissists have a tendency to dominate conversations, and they can easily turn them into battlefields. So the fear isn't baseless. It's built from numerous past experiences. You raise a point, and they might retaliate with anger, deny your feelings, or even twist the situation to play the victim. Over time, this teaches you to walk on eggshells. It's like tiptoeing around a sleeping dragon, afraid that one wrong move will awaken its fury. And this isn't just about the big arguments. Simple things, like expressing discomfort or setting boundaries, become nerve-wracking tasks. It's a continuous cycle, avoiding confrontation to keep the peace, but in doing so, suppressing your own voice and emotions. And it's not cowardice, it's just self-preservation in an environment where communication becomes a potential minefield. 5. Hypersensitivity to judgment. When you're living with or around a narcissist, it often feels like being under a magnifying glass. They're masters of critique, often pointing out flaws, shortcomings, or perceived weaknesses. So over time, you begin to develop an acute awareness and sensitivity towards any form of judgment, even from others. You see, with every remark or even a casual comment from someone, you might find yourself overanalyzing it, dissecting every word for hidden criticisms. A simple, "you look different today," could spiral into hours of self-scrutiny. This heightened sensitivity is a protective mechanism, a way to brace yourself for the potential hurt that often follows judgment. This constant state of alertness can be exhausting. It's like having an internal alarm system that's always on high alert, draining your emotional energy. It's essential to recognise this pattern and understand its roots to gradually heal and rebuild your self-esteem. 6. Complex relationship with truth. Consistent exposure to deceit, manipulation, and gaslighting can blur the lines between reality and fabrication. And when you're around a narcissist for too long, you develop a distorted relationship with the truth. The landscape of truth and falsehood gets muddled, and here's why. Narcissists, with their grandiose view of themselves, often bend the truth to fit their narrative. They may exaggerate, omit details, or straight up lie. Over time, you become accustomed to these twisted versions of reality. Naturally, you start trying to develop a radar for deceit, always trying to decipher what's real and what's not. But that's not all. There's a more profound effect. When you're continuously exposed to these distortions, you might find yourself doubting the very essence of truth. What is real? Can anything be trusted? And in some cases, to cope, you might even find yourself bending your own truths, mirroring their behaviour. This skewed relationship with the truth isn't just an inconvenience, it affects trust, personal integrity, and our belief in the reality around us. When truth becomes elusive, navigating life becomes a perplexing challenge. 7. Anxiety and depression. Something many of us are familiar with, but might not always link to interactions with narcissists, anxiety, and depression. Living with or being close to a narcissist can be a roller coaster, where highs are fleeting and lows are hauntingly prolonged. Every interaction becomes unpredictable. One day, they're showering you with compliments. The next, they're cutting you down. This volatile emotional environment cultivates a constant state of unease. As a result, you're perpetually braced for the next emotional attack or manipulation. These consistent stresses often trigger anxiety. Over time, the weight of these anxieties can pull you down into the depths of depression. It's like being stranded in a storm where you're being battered by waves of uncertainty, unkindness, and unpredictable emotions. And while everyone's experience is unique, it's important to recognise that if you're feeling persistently down or anxious, it could well be a result of this toxic influence. 8. Avoidance of intimacy. Now let's discuss an effect that often goes unnoticed until we find ourselves pushing people away: the avoidance of intimacy. When you've been close to a narcissist, building genuine connections can suddenly feel like navigating a maze. Why? Because a narcissist often uses intimacy as a tool for manipulation. They draw you close and make you feel special, only to exploit that closeness later. Over time, this creates an association in your mind. Intimacy equals vulnerability, and vulnerability leads to pain. So, to protect yourself, you might start building walls around your emotions. It becomes challenging to let anyone in, even those with the best intentions. The tragedy here is that while you're trying to shield yourself from potential hurt, you're also inadvertently denying yourself the joy and warmth of genuine, heartfelt connections. Recognizing this avoidance is the first step towards healing and rediscovering the beauty of healthy intimacy. 9. Challenged boundaries. Narcissists, with their characteristic need for control and validation, often don't recognize or respect the personal boundaries of others. Whether it's invading your privacy, dismissing your feelings, or constantly overriding your decisions, they'll push and prod until your sense of self is blurred. Over time, you might find yourself questioning what's acceptable and what's not. It's like having a garden where the fences keep getting moved, and soon enough, you don't know where your garden begins or ends. This eroded boundary can lead to feelings of disempowerment, making it challenging to stand up for oneself in various situations, not just with the narcissist. The worst part, this pattern can spill over into other relationships. You might tolerate disrespect from friends, colleagues, or new partners because your sense of normal has shifted. It's crucial to recognise this and rebuild. Remember, everyone deserves respect, and setting clear, firm boundaries is not just a right, but an essential aspect of self-care. 10. Chronic guilt. The narcissist, a master of manipulation, is excellent at twisting situations in such a way that you always seem to be the one at fault. Even when logic suggests otherwise, they paint themselves as perpetual victims. It's like being in a maze where every turn you take, no matter how well intentioned, leads to an accusation or a blame game. Over time, this repeated blame instills a profound sense of guilt. Even in situations unrelated to the narcissist, you might find yourself second-guessing your actions, always wondering if you're doing something wrong. The smallest mistakes become magnified, and you're trapped in a loop of over-apologising and self-blame. It's essential to recognise this pattern, as understanding the source of this unwarranted guilt is the first step toward breaking free from its suffocating grasp. You've just learned about the long-term effects of living with a narcissist. What will you uncover next? Will it be 16 scary things narcissists do when you go no contact? Or 14 horrifying ways narcissists destroy your self-worth? Select your next lesson, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.